So anyway, I want to talk about a trip pack. This is a list that I think Marty's already got up on the website, but we're going to change it as we add some things tonight. People say, "Well, what about? Well, how come you didn't include this?" And it's like, okay, that makes sense to carry. So the trip pack is the things that you carry in your car when you're driving from North Carolina to Sandusky this summer. Things that you can't buy at Walmart or NAPA really easily. Things like throttle cables. You can buy a 6014 light bulb anywhere, probably, but you can't get the fan belt. You can't get the hoses. You can't get a heater control valve. Anyway, we'll go through that list of stuff right now. And if you got some comments, just holler, and we'll add some stuff on there. So the first item is a safety item. That's a fire extinguisher. Just, and there's no point in having a fire extinguisher located underneath the spare tire, underneath all your clothes and tools in the trunk. It doesn't make sense. So have the fire extinguisher someplace where you can get your hands on it real quickly if you need it. If you carry it, you won't need it. So personal items that I've always included are sunglasses, sunblock, because you're driving with the top down lots of the time. But if the weather is not beautiful, it's not summertime, say you're driving in Auckland, New Zealand, or in the South Island, then you want a hat, scarf, and gloves. Those don't take up any room at all. You can roll them up and put them in a little corner someplace in your car, and they're always there. Soap and hand brush are really handy for cleaning your fingernails after you're done replacing your fuel pump on the side of the road when you're all covered with road gravel and oil and gasoline. Real nice to have. You can go to the stop at the gas station and use the bathroom there, but they aren't going to have really good soap, and they certainly aren't going to have a hand brush. And it's really nice to have a cooler with some beverages in it, just ice and beverages, just so you don't have to stop all the time and buy that stuff. So those are the personal items that I've included in here. MG parts. MG parts include a gallon of water, just gallon of water, fresh water. You can drink it if you have to, but if you need it in your engine, there's just no substitute for it, and it doesn't take up an awful lot of room to carry. 4 quarts of oil in a filter. That's always nice. It doesn't take up much room. A water pump and gasket. No point in having a water pump if you don't have the gasket. Fan belt, radiator hoses, plus 2 feet of half-inch heater hose. Just a real long piece of half-inch heater hose that you can plumb in on the return line from the heater, around the heater control valve, just if you need it. And I use a 2 foot long piece of heater hose when I'm balancing the carburetors, listening down the throat, listening to the sound of the SUs. You want a heater control valve? Absolutely. Those things, they're better now, but oh my gosh, if it starts to drip, you can relax the radiator cap and the system won't pressurize. It'll still drip, just not quite as quickly. And then a whole generator or a whole alternator. You could carry brushes, sure, but oh my gosh, field repair on the side of I-95? No, I don't think so. So just carry a whole alternator, a whole generator, whatever it is, with the connectors that match your wiring. No point in having lug terminals on the back of a generator and have spade terminals on your wiring loom. How are you going to hook it up? A fuel pump. Now you can make a case for carrying another SU fuel pump if you've got an extra $400 to lie in your trunk for the next 10 years, or you can buy a facet pump, FACET, and carry that to plumb into the system if you need it, or simply plumb it into the system up underneath the bonnet with some wires. And then if you need to have it, you can just hook it up and it'll chatter away and it'll draw the fuel through the existing fuel pump and enable your car to continue to run. A complete distributor, complete with cap and wires, everything. Maybe the wire that goes to the coil. everything. So you don't have to diagnose anything. You don't have to say, "Oh, I got to change the condenser. I got to do this. I got to change." No, just the whole thing, just the whole thing. You can pull your old one out, get sort of a gander on the rotation on it, get the new one, put it back in as close as you can to the original, and bingo, off you go. An ignition coil, they hardly ever go bad. Really, they're diagnosed incorrectly a lot. But again, you can buy one at NAPA, but then you got to get to NAPA in a car that doesn't run. Spark plugs, I don't, you can argue all day about whether you should carry spark plugs or not. Wiper blades, oh my gosh, and you want to carry enough of them so that the driver always has a fresh blade in front of him. You don't care about the passenger. It doesn't matter if he can see. It only matters if the driver can see. So you always put the wiper blade on the left-hand side in front of the driver. An oil cooler bypass hose. What does that even mean? Well, on the cars that have oil coolers, which are almost all the MGBs, if one of those lines blows, and there's lots of stories about new and old hoses going bad, and then you've only got a gallon of oil in the engine, and at speed you can empty that engine out in probably what 45 seconds. I mean, all of a sudden the oil's gone just like that. And if the hose is damaged, you're off the road. You what are you going to do? You got to wait for an overnight, and overnights in Montana take what 3 days? Is that what you said, Bob? When you had to
Uh,
go order your half shaft or your hub or something?
Almost 6 days.
That's
In
overnight.
Dallas, yeah, that was the fast shipping.
Okay, but that's so if you're carrying an oil cooler bypass hose, which is just a hose, and you go from the back of the block to the oil filter itself, and so you take the oil cooler out of the system. Those hoses were used 75 through about 78, 79, and then they started using a pipe there because even the factory didn't like using hoses because over a period of time all hoses leak. But you're looking for a bypass hose. It's a real handy thing to have. If you're really cool, you carry an axle half shaft. Now, that's especially true with midgets, disc wheel midgets, because wire wheel midgets, the half shafts are pressed into the hub. So you'd have to carry two along with brand new um, the hubs. And the hubs are a couple of $100 and the half shafts are $100. So you got 600-700 bucks sitting in the trunk forever. That maybe that doesn't make sense. But in the case of a T-type, or a midget because of the way the splines are cut, even early MGAs. They You can snap a half shaft, and the guys that used to campaign T types actually not only carried the half shaft with a bearing on it, you have to have a bearing on it to fit it. The other cars you don't, and then a really long tool that you could drive down from the other side and knock out of the differential the broken bit of half shaft. So that's for a real campaigner. Lug nuts or left or right spinners. I was so interested to see this on the list because I'd never known anyone till 2 years ago when the spinner came off Carol Loof's car at speed, stuck to the wheel. I still don't really understand what happened there, but I mean, if your wheel comes off, and you're driving, sometimes you can find the wheel. Sometimes you can find the wheel. You can never find the spinner. It's just too small. It jingles away into a culvert someplace, and you can look for hours, never find it, except Carol Loof's, which was stuck on the wheel. But Terry was carrying an extra one. So does it make sense? I don't know. One case, the only case I know of in 50 years of driving where someone needed a spinner, but they aren't very big, and And if you've got new spinners on your car, you still have the old ones. You don't have to take all four, just take one for the left and one for the right. And then you got to have an inflated spare tire. I mean, there's just no point in carrying a spare tire that's flat. A lot of them are. And then you need a way to get that wheel on or off the car, whether it's a lug wrench or a hammer and a spanner, wheel spanner. And then you need a way to get the car up high enough so you can change the wheels. So you need a jack. And in the case of an MGB or MGC, maybe even a midget, factory jack is not the answer. Those are real creepy. I mean, they come with a car, they will work, but oh my gosh, a lot better to have a little tiny scissors jack, the kind that you turn and then they grow. Those are a whole lot handier to have. Um, so we talked about the tube for a wire wheel. I got that in a note from a guy from France. He said nobody's got tubes anymore. So if you got a flat tire and you go to Discount Tire, he didn't say that, but if you go to Discount Tire, they aren't going to have a tube. As a matter of fact, the last time I heard about Discount Tire and tubes was the guy in the front counter said, "Oh no, no sir, we don't fit tubes in tires. That's dangerous. They might catch on fire." It's like, I wonder what safety video he was watching. Anyway, carry your own tube. Then there's a little travel kit, a little bag that's got all the rest of the junk in it. That's electrical wire, electrical tape, duct tape, masking tape, various nuts and bolts, electrical terminals, hose clamps, some little bulbs, hoses, paper clips, wire ties, screws, string, rope, just stuff to help. Zip ties. I got to add zip ties. I don't know if there were zip ties when I made the list originally. When I made the list originally, at the very top, I had a roll of quarters for the quarter car wash and for the payphone. So that's how old the list was. You should carry the tools necessary to change all the parts that you're carrying. Makes sense, right? You know, and then cleaning supplies. You know, when you get to the meet or you're getting someplace, you're going to show the car off. You got to have a bucket and a sponge. Carburetor cleaner is the greatest thing for cleaning crap off. Black and silver spray paint to make last minute touch ups. Armor all, paper towel, a chamois if you're really cool. Um, bug spray, that's nice. That should be under personal items. A wax and a bunch of clean rags. So that's just a trip pack. That's the stuff that you would carry. So I'm interested to know what you might carry with you that might be that I can add on to the list. So that Marty has to type up a new list and put that put that on the website. So I've got first hand Judd Chapin. What's up?
Well, I just thought I'd put up my carry pack, a picture of it at least, which is a credit card, a cell phone, and something to sip on while I'm sitting on the side of the road waiting for the Haggerty or AAA rollback to get there. I found my experience is whenever I pack all that stuff, number one, that usually prevents it from being a problem in my car.
Exactly.
And sometimes it helps with the other guy's car.
Okay. All right. That's pretty good. Yeah. If you carry all those things, you don't end up needing them. That's about the truth. Okay. Walker Eaton, you got your hand up.
Hey John, got a question for you
Yeah.
regarding midget for a jack for a midget. What would you recommend carrying instead of the original?
Some kind of jack you can buy at NAPA or some auto parts place that's a real low profile scissors jack with a long handle on it and play with that long handle first. The first time you use it shouldn't be in an emergency. You should have some experience. Put some grease. I love grease. Put some grease on the threads so it turns nice easily, but something with a real low profile. A bottle jack is not your friend. unless you also bring an entrenching tool. Because the bottle jack is that tall and you can't get that underneath the car because you got a flat tire. Bottle jack is a great thing. It doesn't take up an awful lot of room, but you got to get it underneath the car. So I just say just a low profile scissors jack.
Thanks, John.
Hey, you're welcome. And Steve Shupak.
Yeah, John, thanks. Hey, a couple of things. I don't think I heard some sort of like a packing towel or packing blanket to lie on when you're on the ground and maybe a jumpsuit
Okay. All right.
so you don't mess up your go to dinner clothes when you're lying on the ground.
What James Bond film is that where he comes up snorkeling up out of the ocean? They drop him off and he unzips it and he's all dressed for dinner and nothing's wrinkled. Yeah, yeah. So that's yeah, a towel and work clothes. Okay, all right. Thank you. Thanks. All right, and Bob and Gloria.
So far, everything that has been mentioned, plus
Plus.
yeah, the mutual aid book that helped.
Oh yeah, I put yeah. That's absolutely.
And small jack stands. I got them at a swap meet, and they fold up.
Oh yeah.
Those are nice and foldable wheel chocks, and
That's it.
there's something else. Oh yeah, coveralls. Somebody already mentioned the coveralls.
Yep.
And a lot of confidence.
Jack stands. Thank you. And wheel chocks. Okay.
Oh, I know what else. Wheel bearings and grease. Always carry extra wheel bearing. One time I forgot the grease and had to wait for help, but yeah,
Okay.
wheel bearings and grease because you never know. We drive through a little creek or something. Sometimes it does in the wheel bearings.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
I've got a cooling system one for you.
What's that?
The expandable rubber plugs to replace a casting plug or freeze out plug. Remember Grand Rapids? We blew one out in Carroll's MGA or MGB, and we had the plug get put in it and continue on to the park.
That's a 1 5/8 plug for MGAs and MGBs. That's what size the original freeze plug is. Yes. Yep. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. That's a freeze plug. Yep. Expandable. Because yeah, you can't put a rag in there. You can't do anything. You can't keep water in that engine. It runs right back out. Therefore, you can't drive it. Thank you. Thanks.
And then you can use that gallon of water you're carrying.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That's right. All right, Ian.
Yeah, I don't. I've been listening in and out because I've been doing something else. But did we already
What?
discuss?
What? You mean you haven't been giving your full attention to this?
Well, you know how it is. I got to keep up with my VP duties. But uh, if it had been mentioned already, just roadside equipment. Maybe I should know the name of it, but just the
Triangles.
little cautionary triangles.
Triangles.
Maybe a road flare if it's the middle of the night or something.
Okay.
Kind of back to the basic stuff, which I already presume most people take with them as a precaution regardless. I also carry a little med kit with me, because if I am working on the car, slash your hand on something, sometimes rubbing mud and it works, but sometimes you really need
You mean like that?
yeah, there you go. Sometimes you need a little Band-Aid or a bandage.
Thanks. If a person presents himself as a mechanic and they're neither bleeding, scabbed, heck, I don't know, scarred, got those, or with clean fingernails, he's a poser.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hey, John, I got two tips here.
Yeah.
One is definitely a headlamp. I'm not sure if that got
Okay.
mentioned.
All right. Okay.
But even better than that is I have a Technolite which I attach to a C clamp. So with a swivel head,
Okay.
a photographic swivel head. So you can clamp that anywhere and you can get to see anywhere. hands-free.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Or magnetic base. Absolutely. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Next one up, I see Wyman Adcock. Unmute yourself first. Press the space bar and you will be unmuted.
There we go. Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I was thinking the tech light too. I have that in my trunk, and then carburetor adjustment tool for a Stromberg. You can't live without that. And then in the personal kit would be sunscreen because I never drive anywhere with the top up. So that's all.
So if you have a Stromberg, not only do you need the tool, you also need the diaphragm because
Oh, right.
nobody's got the diaphragm. Although in New Jersey 5 years ago at the international meet, I was in the parking garage working on cars one after another, my rolling tech, and Melissa Gonzalez came with her MGB, which I think she'd driven from Chicago, and I took the top of the carburetor off, and the diaphragm crumbled. It was like a piece of newspaper that had been in someone's dripping attic. It was all fragile and it broke, and oh my God. No one had one. The whole meet, not anyone had one. And later on, I was talking to Cecilia from Scarborough Fair, and she goes, "So John, all you need is a nitrile glove. You poke a hole in it and put it in there and screw it into place, and it'll work. I mean, it'll work better than nothing." So, but the Stromberg diaphragm along with the tool. Thank you very much. Thanks, Alan Vinegar.
Unmuting. Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to just say thank you and just to let everybody know that I'm one of those guys that calls John, not just between 1 and 2, randomly throughout the day. He does take my calls. He's bailed me out more times than I can even imagine. And I just sent something through PayPal just to say that.
Thank you.
But I was stuck on a mountain pass, not driving my MG, but stuck on a mountain pass with a flat tire. Instead of taking a towel out, as that other gentleman suggested, I just took the floor mat out of the car to kneel down on the icy shoulder to change a flat tire.
Okay.
You don't have to get too creative. Just grab a floor mat out of the car.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say for now.
Alan, thank you very much. Okay, I got Justin Schroeder up next here. Or I did have. But since Justin
I just couldn't unmute myself.
isn't there, here we go. Justin, yeah, what's up? Oh, what's this? Is your MGB pushing your monster truck or what?
Right. So I was at an event at Rockingham in South Carolina, and this was too much of a hoot not to get a shot.
That's a good shot.
Yep. So thank you again for another one of your programs. I always learn a lot, and it's always good to see you. So on the packing list, I have Fast Orange Microgel in my trunk. Actually, I keep it in all my cars, and it's something that you can clean your hands waterless.
Okay. Let me just
Yes.
find where that goes here. But yes, that's okay. The trade name is Fast Orange.
Right, but it's the
It's a hand cleaner.
It's the cream version.
Yep.
If you get the soapy version, it'll rot your skin off if you don't rinse it. So you don't want that.
Okay. Okay.
And then I use a tire plug kit and a tire pump, and then a tool roll for just needing a tool.
A tire plug kit. Oh my gosh. Sure.
Because if I can get the car up and I can see where it has something in the tire, I can just spin it around and plug that little joker and pump it up and off we go rather than taking it off.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. It doesn't take up the pump takes up some room, but the tire plug kit is.
Yeah, I put it behind the scary, dangerous jack that's at the bulkhead, strapped in. So I stick it back there and it kind of sits in place. And I got one of those high volume pumps to where you don't have to pump it 97 times. It's only 86.
Okay. Okay.
So anyway, that's all I wanted to add. Thanks.
Hey, thank you very much Fred
A couple
Horner.
more additions.
Oh, I'm sorry, Terry, what?
A couple more additions. We're on hoses and belts. I always carry at least one front brake hose and one clutch hose. I carry a clutch slave cylinder. Things that I've always have used over the years, or somebody with us has used. Brake light switch on electrical. I always carry an extra brake light switch. Things are coming to mind here, but they're all in the car. I have boxes and boxes of stuff, but
Sure.
the advantages of a GT and pulling a little motorcycle trailer.
Yes. Yes. And the more things you carry, the fewer things you'll need, of course. MG Karma. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Fred Horner.
But well, as Terry pointed out, a slave cylinder is handy. I've just carried the cup seal and some sandpaper to fix a leaking slave cylinder for an MGA or MGB. But with all these things you have to carry, you might as well just haul a spare car behind you.
Well, that's, I got to trim this list down, it's like, or put asterisks, it's like, yeah, if you're hauling a trailer or something, oh my gosh, it's pretty easy, but you got to carry clothes. And I used to joke with my MGA, people say, how can you move anything in that? I said, well, you can get $100 worth of groceries in the trunk. Well, now you can, now you get $100 of groceries in a handbag. So, but yeah, there's a certain amount of space that's for this stuff. And then it's like, do you carry the cup for the slave, or really you're going to get underneath there and do that? I can drive a car without a clutch, so I don't need to carry the clutch stuff. I mean, I can get to wherever I'm going with difficulty, but without the clutch. But yeah, hey, it's all this
Yeah.
is and if somebody else needs it and you have it, you're the king that day. So
I've done it by the side of the road.
yes, yes, I believe that. I believe that. Believe that absolutely. All right, Scott Lynn. Waiting for Scott Lynn to come in, but
I'm here.
oh, all right, okay.
So I didn't see it earlier, but jump start battery, those small battery packs that they have for jump starting, although you can always just push the
You
car.
can always push the car, except for Terry Luft, who's got an automatic. So yeah, yeah. So I don't include stuff that you don't need to carry a starter motor because you can always push start it, or if you got an MGA or earlier, you can crank start it. Start with the starting handle, but anyway, but that, yeah, battery pack. Hey, I'm gonna write this stuff down and go through it later. Oh, I'm running out of room on my paper here. Battery pack. Okay, thank you very much. Linda Harnish.
Well, I just want to say I never leave home in my MG without my AAA card, but also wanted to say you better have a luggage rack on your car because by the time you get all this stuff in your boot, you're not going to be able to take any clothes with you.
Okay, thank you. We used to carry that stuff in my MGA. We'd roll it all up, and there's all those little tiny corners back in there. And you can store stuff up underneath the bonnet, up in front, on a B or an A. There's lots of places you can put stuff. Just got to remember where you put it,
Well, when Pete and Jay in Alberta would go on a trip, Pete used to just load Jan's footwell full of stuff. So she basically had her legs out straight for the whole trip.
Maybe that's not too fair, but yeah, okay. Right. We're back to Bob and Gloria.
Yeah, a few other things I thought of.
Yeah.
We usually take some gloves, like those surgical type gloves,
All right.
and magnetic tray, so you don't lose
Oh,
nuts and bolts in the dirt. Dial back timing light, I always have. Um, Somebody mentioned air pump. We got one you plug in a cigarette lighter. a test light, just small little cheap test light. And I carry a head gasket with me, which also requires me to carry a torque wrench. But you never know when you might need it. Bars stop leak. There's several different types of bars and that works. It's not a permanent fix, but it gets you to where you're going. And I'll probably think of some other things. Oh, and a spare tire. We bought a one of those 50-mile-an-hour spares because they're thinner, right?
Okay.
Turn it upside down, and then I fill the wheel with extra parts, switches and turn signals, and then the hoses, brake hoses, and so forth. And there,
And then Linda can get her clothes in
and
there.
Gloria, yeah, Gloria can. Well,
Okay.
we have soft-sided luggage, plus our underwear. We put it in those freezers, Ziploc.
It's too much information here, Bob.
But we put it. You can put that 7 days worth. You can put it anywhere, and then you put a piece of paper in the ones that you've already worn. So just don't open that bag. And yeah, I'll probably think of some other things, but
I thought you'd have some sort of rig on the side of your exhaust manifold to stretch your underwear over.
yeah, to clean it up. Yeah, and of course aluminum
Just
foil.
wear 7 of them and just peel one off each
Yeah,
day.
every day, yeah. And then turn them inside out. Well, we also carry aluminum foil so we can cook on the engine.
Yes, I thought you were going to say so you can make your own condenser from the condenser in your distributor fails. Yeah. All right. All right. Henry Hauptführer. We are waiting for you to unmute. Just press the space bar. We're there we go. There we go.
Yeah, okay, good. A couple things. When you're mentioning the starter, for the MGA, the starter switches that they make today fail. If you're lucky, you can find them. Most motors just gets the ones that are made in China, but if you can get the ones that are made in UK, they're more reliable. But I'd say a spare starter switch. I don't know if other models have that, but that's a pain in the ass, just like the heater valve is. Also, Met wrench or some other type of socket sets that will handle Whitworth, SAE, and metric all at the same time. Met wrench is one that I'm familiar with and sold many years ago in the automotive business. And it uses a cam to grab the face of the bolt. So you
Okay.
can put it right on Whitworth, SAE, or metric. And of course, you're going to have somebody there that's got a modern car, or they substituted a metric bolt, like for the your if you get a new grill for your MGA, they have a metric bolt on the damn thing if you want to get that off. So one of those universal things, that way you have one set of sockets, shallow and deep, and then maybe some wrenches, and they'll be more versatile. And then I have one question for you, and that is diagnostic tools. Is there anything that you say that are really crucial, maybe things that may be nice to have, but not necessary?
Well, that idea of carrying a test light, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's the only tool you need for diagnosing electrics. It's just
Hmm.
a crappy 12-volt test light.
Okay.
And most everything else is yeah, you can test the fuel pump by taking the line off the carburetor and turning the key on, either gas comes out or not. You pull the wire off the spark plug and put your Phillips screwdriver down in there and spin it over. You either get watching for the spark, you either got a spark or not.
Hmm.
Of all the diagnostic tools, yeah, I think the test light is probably it. Although an SU wrench or a Stromberg wrench makes all the sense in the world
Sure.
for adjusting the carburetors.
Sure.
Hey, John,
Thank you.
another thing I didn't hear mentioned was carrying a spare relay.
What?
A spare relay.
I don't know.
Relay. Okay. Yep.
40 amp.
Yep. So,
They're pretty much ubiquitous.
single pole, single throw relay for a 70 through 80 MGBs on the starter circuit and 77 through 80 on the ignition circuit. So, yeah. Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
John,
Yes. Alan.
Yeah, right. How about a handful of extra bullet connectors for one thing? And I'm surprised I didn't hear this. Maybe you said it and I didn't hear it. But fuses
Okay.
occur to me also.
Fuses and bullet connectors. Okay.
I had a bullet connector fail on me in the wee hours of the morning on the way to something years
Okay.
ago.
Okay. All right.
And
Okay.
so they do fail.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Steve Olson.
Yes. I think I got part of it in the chat. I carry a multimeter just because they're cheap and small.
That was a little picture to me.
And
Just a second. That's that background noise. So, Steve, you're going to have to unmute yourself again. Sorry.
okay, a multimeter, and in the midget, everything in the boot is tucked back in the fender wells, all of those hidden places. So I carry a diagram of what is in which place.
Okay. A diagram of where all the stuff is. A map. Yep. Okay.
Now I also carry a list of non-standard parts that I've switched to, and because I might forget that my alternator is a 92 Saturn or something.
Okay.
I've got a list of those things as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Something else I find handy, John, is a dedicated spark plug wrench that's easily accessible under the seat or somewhere for checking the spark plugs every night at the hotel and seeing if we need to adjust for altitude and such.
Okay. All right.
To add to Steve's list of things, which is invaluable because you have so many tiny parts which are hidden all over, I actually have an 8x10 photograph of the tools laid out so I can see what tools I'm carrying.
Okay. Okay. Now, Jim Pastor.
Alan already got to the fuse thing, which is what I was going to bring up. But
Okay.
can you discuss the difference between the British 35 amp fuses and what the Americans are? Because I just read an extensive article on that.
Well, your
not
extensive,
used.
your
Yeah.
extensive article is probably written by an engineer, so I can't match the technical stuff. But what I know that on those early ones it says 17 continuous, so that the closest thing you can come up with is either 15 if you want to go a little lower, or 20
Or
if you
20.
want to go a little higher. So
Yeah,
I use
Todd
15.
gave me an article like 4 pages long, and actually he's a Triumph nut, and it's pretty explicit about even changing for your red lines, your green wires, your purple wires. I mean, it's pretty interesting because I think most of us have always put an old 35 in because the Lucas 35s were there, and then we put an American 35 in and
No.
we're trying stuff.
No, that's way too.
I mean, that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's way too much. My just passive understanding here is that when you turn something on, it takes a greater surge of electricity to get it going. The heater motor, which doesn't take much current anyway, but right at startup, there's a surge, and then it settles in, and that's what that 35 amps. It'll handle 35 amps for a second or something, but just over a period of time, it'll handle 17. So it's a 2-to-1 kind of ratio. But that's why I always say use a 15 or a 20 in your fuse boxes, except for the cars with the old wind tone horns. Nothing takes as much power as those in the whole car, except the starter motor. And those are up around a 40 or 50 amp fuse. Those are dramatic. So anyway,
I'll find out where this article came from and let you know. It's called 7 Fuses.
Okay.
And I'll get it out to you.
Oh, yeah. Oh my
It's pretty,
gosh.
it's really interesting.
Yeah, well, Fred Horner too. Both of us deal in the esoteric here. So yeah, thank you very
Yep.
much. Thanks. Uh, Judd, you're back on.
Yeah, I was just listening on the fuse thing. Just look at the wires. A 14 gauge wire can carry 15 amps continuous. A 12 gauge wire can carry 20 amps continuous. So if you got a fuse that blew out, the question really is why did it blow out? And if you can make it not blow out by putting a 50 amp fuse in there, you just made the car into a fuse, but your fuse will never blow out.
Right.
The other thing on the connectors, I can always carry two or three of the little maybe 10, 12-inch long alligator wires.
Oh,
They're
all
real
right.
skinny,
Okay.
and you
Yeah.
can substitute that in a lot of places, and you don't have to sit there and try to remember how to use your bullet connector gripper and cut wire and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. You just stick those
Sure.
in, and they'll get you home.
Yeah. If you've forgotten your key, all you got to do is, and you've got a later model fuse box that you can't just put the fuse between the two circuits. Yeah. Yeah. That makes lots of sense. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and on the T series, of course, and maybe the others. I think the MGA also. You only got two fuses, but you got a place to put two spares in there, so you should be okay forever.
Should be, should be, unless you got a midget 1500 and the reverse wire chafes down on the left frame and goes in dead shorts. Anyway, yes. Or you purchase a replacement stoplight switch for your MGB, and when you hit the brakes, it grounds out, and that pops the fuse real fast. So anyway, yes, thank you very much. And Wyman. Oh, you're muted. You gotta hit your space bar.
I got it. I'm sorry. So I thought of one important thing that everybody should carry, and they make those cherry pickers that have regular tires on the back. So I think we should hook up a cherry picker, have an engine and transmission hanging from the cherry picker, and maybe an axle and drive shaft between the axles. Huh? What do you think?
Pull that behind the car. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, just a joke.
Yep. Mike Baldwin.
Hey, John, how are you doing tonight?
Great.
This is kind of a Corvair to MG story, but the alligator clip reminded me I'm getting my Corvair ready to go up to Gettysburg for the International Convention this week. Wish I win gold this time. But one of the things about the alligator clips, and this applies to a distributor has a condenser, once in a rare while the condenser goes, and if you suspect the condenser is bad and your coil is accessible externally, which it is on our old car, alligator clips and clip a condenser across the coil externally, effectively you're paralleling the condensers in the distributor. And if that's a problem, suddenly the problem goes away. You don't have to open the distributor.
Thank you. Yes. I'm good. Yep. Thank you. That's a real nice external condenser with alligator
And run
clips.
that by one more time. I'd like to hear that again.
Yeah, where the condenser goes, it's basically between the coil and ground. And if the condenser in the distributor goes bad and you suspect it's that, it doesn't cost but a couple of minutes to alligator clip to take a condenser and straddle it across the coil externally. It acts just electrically like it's inside a distributor. If that's the problem, it goes away. You're basically paralleling a bad coil, a bad condenser with a good one.
You're connecting to the coil on the distributor side or the power side?
Distributor side.
And that's the ground.
Distributor side.
Yep.
ground.
And if your condenser is breaking down because of the back voltage, that won't take care of it. But all you need to do is open up the distributor and take a little cutter and cut the wire that goes to it, or it's dead shorted. And then all you have to do, the condenser happens to be in the distributor, but you can mount them right next to the coil. It doesn't make any difference where the condenser is.
Well, one last thing, John, as a recently retired recovering electrical engineer of 38 years, the capacitors normally fail open, not shorted. And when they fail open, they no longer suppress the spark. So if you put a condenser in parallel against a coil, you don't have to worry about the condenser inside. It's no longer suppressing the spark, but the one you just piggybacked is. Very seldom is a condenser slash capacitor fail shorted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And just as a reminder to everybody, I got to hit my mute all button here just for a second, not because I don't like you. When the capacitor fails, it screws up the timing, and the timing comes much later than it should. And as a result, you get a rifle shot down the tailpipe. If your carburetors are spinning like they do when it's too lean, you haven't got the choke pulled out far enough, that's not a backfire. You can have flame come out of the carburetor that far. Flame, it'll light the air cleaner on fire, but that's not a backfire. A backfire is a rifle shot down the tailpipe. And or the car starts to, you get it up, it runs just perfect until you get to 3,800 RPM or something. All of a sudden it just breaks down, won't go. Those are both signs of a bad capacitor, bad condenser. So, yeah, thanks. Thank you very much. Real good idea.
Mention, John, if you go in to your local NAPA or something, they'll want to know what kind of car you need to put it on, and they don't make any difference. They're all 22 microfarad, and all you're looking for is one with a pigtail, so you can do what Mike is talking about. And I always just carry a couple of extras because they're crap these days. We're the only people that use them.
Well, I bet Corvairs use them. So yeah.
Hey, John.
Hey, John, guaranteed. And guess what? I'm carrying a couple of in the back of in the trunk on the way up to get.
Okay.
So, John, in my copious notes, I am carrying 22 microfarads in my boot, but I read some time ago that 18 microfarads was actually better. Is that?
I don't know. It has to do with the windings in the coil. So it's if you got a primary that's if you're 75 through 79 MGB, that's got a different windings than the 1980 or the.
Yeah, mine's an 80.
Yeah, so you got a 12-volt coil in there, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to match. I'm not an electrical engineer. I can't match the capacitance to the Henrys. Is that what we're dealing with there, Mike? Or is that Henrys in the coil or?
Absolutely. What you're trying to do is when the coil collapses to the points, it creates an inductive kick because the coil doesn't want to open. I'll make it as simple as I can. I don't mean like it sounds. But what the condenser does, it takes that kick and stores the energy and smooths it out. Otherwise, you get a big, fat, juicy arc across the points, and it burns the points up, and you don't get the smooth spark you're looking for. So 18, 22, it's not that big a deal. Most of them, 22 microfarads plus or minus 20% anyway.
Okay, all right. I always compare a capacitor to a water hammer, anti-water hammer device on your washing machine. The water's coming into the washing machine and the solenoid stops it, just stops it. And you got all that mass in motion. And since the water can't go this way, the pipes have to go that way. I mean, kabang, so you put that water hammer device so that the water surges up into it and then settles.
You're absolutely right, John. It absorbs that sharp spike in energy and then dumps it back into the power system at a longer timed constant, and your points thank you for it.
Okay, thank you. Peter McCarthy.
Everybody's right. All this stuff is great, and I'm going to go through my kit and add stuff to my kit, but I can't leave without observing that we're all getting old and soft, and it's possible to travel light. So take you back for a second to 1973. At the airport in Luxembourg, I bought a Morris Minor Traveler, which is essentially an MG midget with a station wagon body, and drove 10,000 miles through Europe, starting with 100,000 miles on the car. Luxembourg, Madrid, Istanbul, Copenhagen, Dublin, and back to Luxembourg. And I'm not saying there weren't a few nights we spent by the side of the road, waiting for something to happen, but with the few tools that came with the car and a couple extra wrenches I picked up, we were able to get through.
Thank you. Those were in younger days.
We were a little bit younger then.
Like Linda Harner says, just, don't don't leave home without it, without your charge card or your Haggerty phone number. So, yep. Thank you very much.
Neither one of those existed, of course.
Of course. Steve Illis.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about the fuel pump going bad, and you can throw one in line with keeping your old fuel
Yes.
pump right in there. You don't have to take it out. It'll
Correct.
pull it through there. Is that what you said?
Correct. That is exactly correct. The SU
Okay.
pump has got two one-way valves, so you can always push through it. You just can't push the opposite direction. So you can always draw through it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so who haven't
Hey,
I got
John.
here? Yes.
Hey, John. I think Mr. Oldroyd wants to say something.
Oh, he very well may. John Oldroyd.
Thank you. Thank you for the mister. Very kind. No, just a few comments here. One of the things that I do, my name is John, but it's not Twist, you see. So I tend to trust other people's experience, which are always different from our own. And at least once or every year or every 2 years, I get somebody, a friend or a real expert, to drive my car and criticize the hell out of it. I say, just tell me what's wrong with this car. And I try to keep it up to scratch so that if ever I'm going on a long trip, as I do regularly from here to Alaska, Toronto, that is, I just try to make sure that it gets me there and gets me back. And I don't really have to worry too much about all the bits and pieces. Now, the list of stuff that you've given, John, which I think is absolute gold, you need to have these things around. But that's one of the things. And I just call it my bumper to bumper safety reliability overhaul. And it's stood me in good stead. I've not been stuck yet. I've had the car since 1987, and it works very, very well. The other thing alongside that is,
John,
the
you are going to have to unmute yourself again. I'm sorry. No, John Oldroyd, unmute yourself again. There we go.
Okay, fine, got it. The other thing is, very simply, a rope.
A tow strap.
A rope.
Yep. A rope.
And this is not for MGs, by the way. It's for Triumphs. It's for all sorts of other and American cars, particularly.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyway, that's just one of the things that I do.
There's no substitute for doing a complete maintenance on your car before you take it away.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So that it turns out that the brake calipers aren't really stuck or frozen, and the front wheel bearings are set up correctly and don't sound like gravel when you spin them. Yep.
Yeah.
That was
Save yourself the problem when you're on the road if you possibly can.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Thank you, John. This is all wonderful what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Alan, are you still up?
Yeah, right. Okay, if I'm the right Alan. Okay. Couple things about that. And I've advised people, like this, I'm sure I've heard you say it too, but before you take any long trip in an MG, go through the owner's manual or shop manual, look at all the routine maintenance. And if there's anything that you don't know when it was done, or anything that you have done but can't remember, do it. Just do it in advance, and that will save you a certain amount of trouble.
Thanks. I'll make a pitch for my website again, and maybe a PayPal donation from a couple more people. And that is, we have a complete lubrication on the website universitymotors.online. And the complete lube is set up for an MGB, it includes things like tightening the front shocks and exercising the front wheel bearing or the front brake calipers and greasing the front wheel bearings and filling the rear shocks and filling the front shocks and changing the oil in the differential. But if you do all that, oh my gosh, what can go wrong? Well, the fuel pump, the water pump, the fan. Anyway, there's still stuff that can go bad, but oh, there's no substitute for preventive maintenance. Oh my gosh.
Hey,
Thank
John, a couple of years ago, I guess on this YouTube, and I actually recorded it and listened to it the other night. You actually went through the complete lube, and I was thinking, Jesus, I'm 75. I can't do it. I really wish, either yourself or a mechanic would offer that. I mean, you said it took 7 hours. I'm happy to pay for it,
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not.
but it's impossible to find.
Yeah, and if you take that list to somebody, your local mechanic, and it said, I can't think of anything right off the top right now, but he doesn't even know he doesn't even know what it means,
Yes, and that's the thing. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to clone yourself, and
Yeah, yeah. I've been going to Coney Island now for a couple of years, So yeah, and I bought clone owners insurance too. All right, okay, all right.
That's a
Let's.
good pitch for car clubs, though, John, because there aren't any MG mechanics out there, at least in 1,000 miles from me. But there's a wealth of knowledge in our car club, and somebody will stop by and help you do whatever you need.
That's why
But
we
it's
all
not
should.
80 years old like I am.
That's why we should all belong and support the various car clubs. There's power in numbers and efficiencies in scale. And if we all support each other and belong to the clubs, you don't belong to the NAMGAR or the New England MGT Register or the NAMGBR or the MGC organization, or I just um, join them and come to Sandusky too. Absolutely. All right, let's see who else is up here. John Oldroyd, we're all done there. Alan, we're done. Okay. So I think we probably have played this out enough. I've got more items than I had on my original list, which I've got to go through and sort out into ones, twos, and threes. You absolutely must have this, but maybe you don't need the wheel bearings. That's a pretty intense on the road repair. And if you've done a complete lube before you go, you shouldn't have to do it on the road. But then if you're putting 550,000 miles on your MGB. Is that about what you guys have now?
553.
Okay. It's a different set of rules. So, yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So I want to go over to the chat section now. And just bear with me here because it takes me, I don't know, this changed around a little bit and I have to change this. Here we go. Go Tigers, class of 85 here. Okay. Um, um, Marty's got some notes up here. Dave Smittle. You said it's been a long time since we've Zoomed. Yes, it has. I've seen Bob and Gloria at two different car shows here in Ohio since the last time I saw them on here. So, okay, well, that says something about how long that was and how active Bob and Gloria are. So, thank you. And Wolfgang, we got Wolfgang from Vienna, Austria. So, oh my gosh, when I was asking for people from how far away they are. So, oh my gosh. Yeah. Are you still on, Wolfgang? I don't hear anything from Austria right now, but maybe he's off already.
Bob and Gloria were in Carlisle too.
Okay.
Yeah, we were. We bought some things.
So Dwayne Schmidt, who's got this thing, he says TC 0261, Terry Loop's TC, was built the 17th of September, 1945. So very cool. Nice. All right. Ian is making a pitch for their show. Georgia, we're also having the Southeast British Car Festival in Hiawassee, Georgia. If you look up the event on Facebook. You can find all the information needed. So that's a good event down there. Walker Eaton says we have a group leaving from New England on Saturday, the 22nd. If anyone wants details, email me. So this is going to Sandusky. So there's a group leaving from New England on the 22nd. Very, very cool. Dave Smiddle says you were staying Sunday until Friday at the Kalahari. Wouldn't miss it. Great time. Look forward to seeing everybody. And see, here we've got Meisel, MGB, 1980. Two wheels are out of round. Wobble on the balancing machine. Recommendations on where to buy new wheels, or should I take it to a shop where they repair wheels? I was never able to find a shop where they could repair a bent wheel. A bent rim, out on the edge. I found that stuff. But finding really good rims is difficult. In my own MGA, I had 5 bent rims, and I finally took my wheels to a place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin named Diamond Wheel. They cut the rim off the center disc. They cut it off and made a new rim, which looked exactly like the old one. It doesn't. It's got a safety lip on it. You can't tell. And welded it back on. And I think this is 6, 8 years ago. And I got all 5 wheels done for about $1,000. So double the price because the money isn't worth anything now. Well, of course it's worth something, but anyway, so that's one option is to get your wheels re-rimmed. And if you're going to do 1 or 2, just do them all. And it's a thicker metal. Doug carries 6 feet of bicycle brake cable. That is a really good idea because bicycle brake cable you can turn into a hand choke cable. You have to. Although if you got 2 people, one person can hold the choke underneath the bonnet while the other one starts it. Bob and Gloria have done that, and yeah, I bet. And it'll also can repair the throttle cable. So bicycle brake cable. That's a really good idea. I got to write that down. Just a
lot
second.
of people.
Yeah, all right, I got that.
A lot of people don't realize the door cables on an MGA is actually a throttle cable.
Yep. Okay.
Since
Justin
we've done that, we've now carried extra cables.
Schroeder. Already did that. VTO wheels. You can always buy other wheels, but that wasn't the question. John Lind says carry a U-shaped heater hose to bypass if the heater valve fails. So that means long enough. That's why I've got 2 feet of hose in there that you can go. No, how does that work, John Lind?
Well, I had some spare hoses for a different vehicle, and
but
I cut them down, and there was actually 2 of them that had this U shape that I was able to, so I didn't get a pinch or it didn't close up, and it was already a preformed hose for some other application.
Sure.
And I used it on one of my MG midgets to just bypass the leaking valve.
There we go on the midget. That's easy. Yep.
Right.
You've got a midget 1500.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Got a few of them.
Yep. That's yes.
I have an illness.
The cheap trick on a U-shaped hose. The cheap trick is to buy a screen door spring, like the kind your grandma had on the wooden door in the back of her house. And if you put that down inside a piece of heater hose, you can tie that into a pretzel, and it will not collapse. Now the heater hose, the spring, 1/2-inch spring won't fit inside a heater hose. So you got to stretch it out a little bit. And as you stretch it out, the diameter shrinks just a little bit. But that's what I've used for a long time. But the heater valve on the MGB and on the midget 1275 is attached right to the engine. So when that thing starts leaking, you're done.
Yeah.
So all right. John Lind, magnet on the end of a telescoping shaft to pull the broken end of the half shaft out of the differential. Yes.
I got that from experience.
Yep. And
I've been there.
if it's a smaller one, to drag through the dirt because you didn't buy the magnetic tray, drag through the dirt on the underside of the car to find the nut that fell
True.
off. So a magnet, that's a really good idea.
I got one that about the size of a pen, and it's got a little clip on
sure.
it.
So yeah, so Phil says, what kind of truck do you use to pull all these things? Yeah, okay. Um, um, so I'm on the board for the Sandusky event, and right now I think as of last night there were 60 trailers involved. Now a lot of people got real early cars, and they're not going to take their 1934 MGPA. I don't know if they made them in 34. I'm not good on early cars, but they're not going to drive it all the way from Atlanta. They're going to put it on a trailer. But yeah, yeah. But some people have got really interesting trailers on the back of their MGs, like the rear half of an MGB or the rear half of an MGA. So yeah. And here's yep. On vacation, I only pack a thong. Yeah, okay, all right. Okay. That's good. All right, go Tigers. Let's see. Uh, here we go. Judd's complaining on his 72B. Got ready to leave, turned the key, fuel and ignition energized, twisted to start, and nothing. Turned the key and it started right up. I suspect failing contact in the key system. Any suggestions on where to start to look? Yes, the battery clamps. Judd, I think that's it's real common to have a battery clamp that is tight. Looks tight. You look at it, looks good. It's nice around the post and everything, but it's not got a good connection. So you turn it on, you can get the ignition warning light to come on, you get some other stuff to come on. But as soon as you try to draw 150 amps through there, you lose the connection, and then you wait, and then the connection reestablishes itself. So I'd
That's
started
exactly what happened.
with a battery.
I haven't checked the terminals. That is the first thing to look at, and I hadn't thought of it. But I mean, I drove the car less than a quarter mile, pulled it into the garage, shut it down, waited maybe a minute just for the heck of it, and it started up like it's supposed to beautifully. So the terminals does sound like they need cleaning.
Yeah,
And retightening.
and the downside of having loose battery terminals is it'll pop the alternator.
Uh-huh.
So
good.
that's the $200 problem that comes with that. So
Right.
and Bill Thompson is going to the next place.
Bill Thornton.
And that's on the starter motor solenoid. That's real common to have a problem there too. So
Where is that located? Is that on the starter motor?
on the very, very bottom, if you're looking at the starter motor from the front, the
Yeah.
solenoid's at 6 o'clock, and the lug from the starter motor, sorry, from the battery, is at 6 o'clock on the solenoid. The big
All right.
cable comes up to the solenoid,
Yeah.
and those connections come loose there.
Okay.
Yep.
I think if it were the big cable going to the through the solenoid, and I would have been able to hear the thing click, and there
No,
was
not. It just depends.
Oh,
So
okay.
those are the two spots. So
All right.
you can often hear the battery post sizzle if it's
Oh.
really quiet and you still have ears that work. When
No problem.
when you turn it over to start and you're trying to draw that energy out of the battery, you get a zizzing sound out of the snapping and a boiling sound at the clamps. So
I hear you. I hear you. That's what I
right,
like about the TD and the MGA. They don't have all that. You just pull a knob.
yeah,
And somebody said carry a spare of that manual relay, but you don't need it. Any jumper wire to go across between the two terminals, and it starts right up. or
just a
downhill, which I got
screwdriver.
to park on. But what we had to do, because I was in a neighbor's house and he's got a slightly sloping driveway, and I thought I'd left myself enough room, but it didn't start. So we ended up using his truck and took a large tow strap. Of course, now we got to pull it backwards. So we dropped the tow strap over the bumper overrider and across his uh, uh, trailer hitch and pulled gently and got me up about 50 feet up the hill. And of course, the car started right up once it rolled.
Sure.
So that tow strap can be handy. I don't know what you are supposed to hook to pull it backwards. I guess the rear axle. I don't know. I don't.
Underneath on the shackle on the leaf spring, probably.
All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway,
So-
thank you.
Hey, thank you. Steve Olson made this diagram of the stuff underneath. John Lynn says Walmart and Harbor Freight have scissors jacks for less than 25 bucks. And Doug says he carries whatever tools fit after putting his golf clubs in. And Jim Nybert says, okay, this is good. Regarding the scissors jack, I'd recommend having a nut welded to the end of the shaft and using a ratchet and socket that fits the nut. It's much easier than a scissors jack with a small wire extension handle trying to lift the car. That's a fact. That's a fact. So,
John, we found a scissors jack that the fitting on the end, you put, I think it's a 3/4 inch socket on it. And
Okay.
I have a battery powered
drill.
ratchet drill. That
Yeah.
was not a drill, a
Yeah.
impact. And that raises it up
Sure.
pretty
Yep.
good.
Really fast.
And it saves your arm.
Very cool. Okay. For years, I've carried a bath towel, even on my Harley. Okay. So one can use a tonneau cover as a lay down for underneath the car blanket. Zena Stromberg tool. Oh, here we got. Don't know how to use it, but Gary, you can talk to me, and I'll be happy to tell you how to use that. Give me a call later.
Thanks, John.
Looking for TD 17085, last seen in the DC area. So here we got Skip, who's looking for his TD that he sold and wishes he had back. Or maybe he's just chasing to see how things worked out. But it's really hard. It used to be you could write the DMV and they'd give you the owner's name, but that was, except Indiana, but that was a long, long time ago. And Mr. Landry says, isn't it in third gear that you put the car when trying to push start? Oh, usually just fourth gear is all right. If the car is going to start, it only has to turn over a couple of times. Theoretically, it doesn't even have to turn over but half a turn. So I'm not sure third gear is any better than fourth gear. I think I always use fourth gear. Carry brake fluid, says John Lind. Okay. And Bob W says, yep, need a small trailer or a chase vehicle. So there's always a reason to buy something else. Here we got a suggestion to carry a fire extinguisher, but that was the first thing I had. A feeler gauge, yep. An engine puller. I don't know. Come on, a dedicated mechanic. That's right. I can be your. Oh gosh, I'll come up with a name in a little bit.
You
First
always
aid.
use matchbook cover for a feeler gauge, but you don't have matches anymore because I
Straight
still want
razor.
that cigarette, but I can't have it.
A safety razor. A safety razor's
now that's
15,000. You can't. Those aren't out there anymore either. So here we go. Spare radiator cap, oil filler cap, and fuel filter. Most of what I carry fits inside the upside down spare. I cut a round piece of cardboard which fits inside the inner rim. So that's a real good idea. That's a real good idea. John Lynn says, been there, done that with the chafing and melting reverse wire on the Midget 1500. Okay, yep, that's why I remember that. And here we've got Don Bueller's got MG Rio Road trip leaving Harvard scaled .avif. So it's a link here. Don't know what it goes to exactly, but anyway, it must be interesting.
That covers if I wanted to say something about that because
Yeah.
that's really cool. I love going back and reading these articles about old trips and MGs, and that's a trip that dates back over 75 years around this time in June, actually, in
Okay.
1954. Two Harvard students got a newer MGTD, I think, and I think they bought it together. I don't remember all the details, but they drove it through the Rio and all of these, through the jungle. And I mean, there's some crazy photographs as well of them on this trip. And they've got two spare tires attached to the front of the car. And
Sure.
it's
very cool.
it's an amazing trip. And there's an amazing article attached for it, I think, on Haggerty. And I think that link goes to one of their photos. But it's a great trip. So speaking of road trips, that's a very, in my opinion, a very historical MGTD road trip.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see. Peter McCurdy. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. Just purchased a 73B, and I'm working on the brakes. I'm 46. Any suggestions for me on what to watch out for when replacing wheel cylinders, shoes, drums, pads, rotors, etc.? So, Peter McCurdy, yes. Just quickly. Is this? Are you still on? Does this have wire?
Right here. I'm right here.
Wire or disc wheels? Disc wheels.
Disc wheels.
Okay, easy schmeezy. So on the back end of the car, you're going to buy hub oil seals, cylinders, and shoes. You can free up the existing handbrake cable, probably, but it takes 3 people. Let me quickly explain this stuff. So
the handbrake cable was already broken and hanging down.
Okay, all right, okay.
So I got that to be replaced.
So
I'm putting that in too.
on the rear hub, you got a 1 5/16 nut. Spin the nut off the back. There's a tapered washer, conical washer that fits in there. Use a punch and a hammer that falls out. Grab a hold of the hub, hit the hub, just tunk it. Hub falls off. Now nothing's in the way. You can change the rear wheel cylinders and the rear hose and the shoes and the rear hub oil seal. When you're all done, make sure you fill the diff back up with GL4 80/90 gear oil. In the front end, you want to change the front hoses. You don't have to rebuild or change the calipers. You can exercise them. Pull one pad out, put 2 great big ass screwdrivers in there. Your buddy is pushing it down, down, down. Puck comes out towards the rotor, and it hits the screwdrivers and say, "That's it, stop." Wash down the outside of the pistons with brake fluid, lever it back into the caliper. Do that 3 times with each piston, and then of course when you're all done, you've got brake fluid everywhere. You got to use carb cleaner, brake cleaner, spray it all off, blow it all off, sand the pads, and then while the pads are out, set up your front wheel bearings. The inner bearing never needs grease. The outer bearing will go dry when the inner bearing still has grease. So you don't have to take it all apart. You don't have to. Just put grease on the outer wheel bearing, but then you have to set up the shims. And there's a 25, a 10, a 5, and a 3, and you've got to get the right combination so you can put 60 pounds of torque on the front hub nut and still have the rotor spin. But when you grab a hold of it, it doesn't move in. You can't hear it tunk. So if it spins and doesn't tunk, you're home free. If you have a dial indicator with a magnetic base, you're looking for 2 to 3 thousandths of end float on that. So anyway, that's it. And you say what? So you can call me tomorrow or something. I'm happy to help you out on that just a little bit more.
I've been watching your videos. I appreciate
Okay.
it all. My dad has a 62 MGA, and he's working on a 52 MGTD that he's restoring. So
Great.
not my first rodeo, but it's my first MG. So
okay, all right. Steve Olson says a spare U joint takes very little room and your toolkit surely has a hammer in it. Yeah, if you can, it shows you in the TD workshop manual, there's a guy with a coat and not French cuffs, but nice cuffs. You can see his cuticles, and he's holding holding the front of the drive shaft and hitting it with a hammer to drive it out. And it's like maybe when the car was brand new, you could do that, but now you got to have a vise. Oh my gosh. See, Marty, please ask John to add tonight's checklist to that webpage. Yes, it's going up. Let's see, Gary Lowry, piggyback condenser from Ian Ellis. Okay, here we go. Here's an article just about probably about how to do the piggyback. So, looking for a spare 80 MGB distributor recommendation. Backdated side entry points. Bob Haskell. Bob Haskell, you want to get a 40897, the earliest distributor that they made, 62 through 67. That's the best distributor they ever made for the MGB engine. And you can hook it to the port on the top of your Stromberg, which is ported vacuum. You're all set to go. Bill Thornton, got a suggestion for the MGB tune-up list. Add Weber carburetors. Someone just sent me a picture of a Weber grill inside the MGB bonnet. Yeah, that was good. Thank you. Okay. All right. See, George, I want to relocate my fuel pump to the trunk. No, you do not. Then I read the SU pump must be positioned below the fuel tank. The modern SU pumps push the gasoline. The gasoline falls into the pump and then it's pushed up out. But don't put it in the trunk. If you want to relocate a fuel pump, you can put it up underneath the bonnet. It fits up nicely up there. You can do the wiring up there real easily. But trunk's a bad place for a battery and for a fuel pump. Is just that's my experience. The ones that I've seen done, there's just trouble. So safety trouble. A headlamp. How can you tell if my new capacitor is good before you can install it? Well, if you take a condenser and you have an ohm meter with a moving coil ohm meter, and you hook it up to the condenser, you'll see that needle on the 1,000 scale just move. Just moves. As the electricity surges into the capacitor and charges it up, you'll just see it move. Then take the capacitor, turn it around the opposite way and hook it up. Just touch it, and it moves twice as far because it's discharging. So that doesn't tell you that it's good, but it tells you that it might be good. If it doesn't flick, it isn't any good. It's open. So that's about it. You can buy a capacitor tester. They're very expensive, and capacitors have a breakdown. George, you're on right now. You can unmute if you want. George, are you there?
Yes, I am. I asked about the maybe it's different, George. I asked about the fuel pump.
Oh yeah, it's just my experience that putting the battery or the fuel pump in the trunk is just you got hoses running through holes. Bothers me. I haven't got a better explanation than that. If you want another fuel pump, put it up underneath the bonnet.
I just want to make it easy if I had to replace it on the road.
So just add one.
Okay.
Add one of those
with an on-off switch.
Or just leave the wire loose, and if you have to hook it up, stretch a wire over and hook it up to the like the green circuit on the fuse box.
Okay, thank you.
Getting back to testing capacitors, I have a not very expensive multimeter, which has a capacitance checker on it.
All right. Okay. I haven't seen those. I don't know what it can't check it under load. It can't check it under 400 volts. I
That's
bet.
correct.
So, all right. Alan Vinegar says, which fire extinguisher do you recommend? Um, uh, I don't, I don't, I don't. The bigger, the better.
Walmart has a nice selection.
Okay.
One that works.
Yeah.
Dave Smittle says, regarding the fuel pump relocation question, wouldn't an SU pump under the bonnet that needs to pull be different from the one that's mounted in the rear and pushes the fuel? I thought I learned that once. So yeah, there are two different pumps. There's a low pressure pump and a high pressure pump. And the TDs and the early TFs, TCs have got one up underneath the bonnet, and it pulls the gasoline up into it. It just has to do with the size of the solenoid. The solenoid is longer. And although they will both work in either location. They both work. But that other fuel pump, whose name now escapes me because I'm over 75.
Facet.
Facet. Thank you. Thank you. That Facet pump, Glenn Lenhard from Glenn's MG Repair in St. Petersburg says he doesn't even fit SU pumps anymore. He goes, screw them. He said they're $400. The failure rate isn't any better than it ever was. I hate the electronic ones because once those are dead, they're dead. You can't make them work again for love nor money. With points, you can beat on them, at least that. So anyway, yes.
For the pump at Car Parts Warehouse, and I don't know if that's a national
I don't know.
thing or not, but anyway, there's one here, and they have a pump for MGs, and it's a little smaller, maybe half the size of the SU pump, but you can mount it underneath the. Anyway, the point is they're like $35, and so I just carry one.
Some of them are really noisy. That's
Yeah.
the downside. Tack, 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 tack. It's like,
Yeah,
oh
this
my
one's quiet. So
Okay,
but
all right.
you miss the tick,
Emergency.
tick, 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 tick if you use another type. At least I do.
God. Okay. Wyman Adcock says, should I replace my oil cooler hoses with metal ones since I need to change them anyway? The metal ones are only shielded in metal, like the Chinese finger puzzle, the woven metal that goes around a rubber hose, and it's to dissipate the heat, or to make it look cool, or to short out the coil if it sits too close to the coil. I've seen that. So it is beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Originally they were not metal sheathed. I'm ambivalent about them. They look cool, but I don't think they're any better.
Can I ask then? I had, light bearing failure, main bearing failure when I had my um, needle valve in the Stromberg, put too much fuel in the oil. So I'm having and rebuilding the engine. And so there was some metal flakes in the oil pan, not a lot, but just got down to the copper. So I was debating on whether I should just try to flush the oil cooler lines or should I just replace them to make sure I don't have any metal in the line.
It would make sense to flush them with a power washer, I guess. But of course, you got to take the oil cooler and turn it upside down, depending on how the inlet and outlet are. But yeah, because that's all before the oil cooler. So if there are flakes sitting in the bottom of the sump, those flakes have gone through the oil pump, probably through the strainer, the little tiny ones, and some of them might be lodged in there. On the other hand, they're tiny, 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 and that's what the oil filter's for. So I'm not sure. And if you wash it out with a pressure washer, you got water in there. You never get all the water out until yeah. Okay, right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And Ian says he just put up the German Hardy fuel pump is just a little more expensive than the Facet pump. Quiet, directly compatible with the SU with the banjo fittings. So that's made under license, and you can they clean the points just like you can on an SU. So the Hardy fuel pumps, those are okay. Yes, they are.
Yeah, I couldn't afford $500 or whatever it is now for a new
Yeah.
SU fuel pump. The prices are ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. I repair the fuel pumps. I never buy a new one. I can't, we can't.
Yeah.
You clean up the points and you set it up real carefully, it'll work just fine.
Yeah, I'd love to learn to rebuild mine. I need to do that someday.
Okay. So anyway, Bill Thornton, you got your hand up. I just saw that.
Yes, sure. I just want to go back to something sort of off topic, but on topic as well. It's all about NGs. I'm having a horrendous problem with my W carb. I know you don't like to use the word, and I can actually cook on it if I wanted to. It's getting that hot, but I'm having a lot of trouble with hot restarts. It just won't. So I'm working through a list of things to do, and I'm getting there. The last thing I've got to do is to add a phenolic spacer underneath the carburetor, and
No, I don't. That isn't going to help.
It isn't.
No, because when the carburetor is working, it's ice cold because it's evaporating the gasoline, and I just don't believe that enough heat can come through the intake manifold into the carburetor body and then out into the. Well, you're dealing with a Weber, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, um, it's the heat that's rising up off the exhaust manifold and the heat underneath the bonnet. So what year is your car?
79.
Okay. And of course you should. This isn't a problem with Webers on the restart. I'm not used to this problem with a Weber. How hot does your car get? Do you know? Now, I don't mean the temp gauge. I mean, do you actually know that it gets like it does get really, really hot?
It doesn't show any overheating whatsoever on the gauge.
Okay.
The gauge barely moves past the blue quadrant. It's not
Okay.
overheating the engine. It's just a heat buildup under the hood. And I can run 15 minutes, which really shouldn't get it that hot, but 15 minutes, I stop for 5 minutes and try and start it. It will not start. So the question I've got was, I'm going to add the phenolic spacer. It can help with heat conductions. I can only try it, but it's a design for a heat shield. Do you know if anybody makes one, markets one? I've designed one myself. I'm an engineer, so I can put something together and I can get it to fit. But I'm sort of probably reinventing the wheel. Do you know
Maybe
anybody that
you might talk to Pierce Manifold in
I've
California.
talked to them several times.
Okay, all right. So when you're dealing with that heat to the carburetor, it's convection, conduction, and radiation.
Yeah.
And I don't think the conduction's I don't think conduction's the problem. I think it's convection, and I think it's radiation. So the heat shield can help with the radiation. So just make something. Make something.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, I've got the exhaust headers wrapped with the titanium wrap to try and cool that down. And
so
my next step is to wrap the intake manifolds with the same stuff and try and stop the convection that way. They do get pretty hot.
The intake manifold, well, sure, after you turn it off.
Yeah.
Yep. So one thing you might do is change your exhaust header for a factory exhaust manifold. They don't emit as much heat. That's all headers are hot, all headers are noisy, all headers leak, all headers are headaches.
The only reason I changed to the Weber setup was because my original manifold with the Zenith, it cracked.
Yep, understand.
And it was blowing. So that's the only reason I have this setup. But I've had nothing but trouble getting it to run right. And it starts pretty good. It runs pretty good. Just when I stop the car, I know it isn't going to start again. even after
sometimes
10 to 15 minutes, that
sometimes I know Glenn in St. Petersburg, Florida, deals with this a lot more than we do in Michigan.
Yeah.
And he said, just hold your foot to the floor. Don't pump
Yeah.
it, especially not that, because you're going to
Yeah,
dump
yeah.
even more
Yeah.
fuel in there. Just hold it to the floor and crank on it until it starts.
It does just that, but it cranks for about 30 seconds, and then it takes a long, long time, and then
yeah, that's what. Well, once it starts, just keep your foot to the floor until it clears out.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. So,
Okay.
it's just it's embarrassing when you're sitting in a parking lot and everybody looks at you because
cool car. What's the matter with it? Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody looks, so I'm working through the list that I got to do, and I've done most of it, checked the choke settings, done all the rest of it. So I'm just going to try eliminating everything on the list and then see where I go.
Change that exhaust manifold to a factory one. From a 74 and earlier.
It's a 79 mine. So.
Yeah, I know, but by a used exhaust manifold from a whatever thickness. There are two different flange thicknesses.
Yeah.
That change between 71 and 72 when they go from the HS to the HIF carburetor. So one of the flange thicknesses, the earlier one is 7/16, 9/16, and then the later one is 7/16. So measure the flange thickness on your intake manifold and get a factory exhaust manifold that matches that. You can buy a used one from Sports Car Craftsman. You can buy a new one probably from Moss, and a front exhaust pipe, and just put the whole thing in there, and I'll bet that solves some of the problem. But no substitute for a nice heat shield in there either.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just go with my design and see how it works. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Hey, you're very welcome.
Sorry for mentioning Weber again.
Okay. All right. Steve Ellis, you got a hand up.
Yeah, I have a question. You were talking about engine oil coolers. On my 80B, I cannot find an oil cooler on there anywhere. Where do they hide?
There isn't. They dropped them off in 75.
Oh, there you go. That's why I can't find it. All right.
That's right. But you can add one if you want. You don't have it. It's a waste of money. You don't have to. It's not necessary. It doesn't help anything. But
if you don't really have overheating or anything like that.
Yeah. If you want to be cool, you can find it's up on the radiator diaphragm on the underside and mounts underneath the car. There are four quarter 28-volt holes to hold the cooler there, and you have to get the hoses and so forth. But no, you don't have one now.
Oh, I'm cool enough without it. All right, thank you.
All right, okie doke. Judd, are you
something
up?
That hasn't? So something that I had a machine shop make for me, which is very handy, was very thin. Open end wrench, like 3 millimeters thick, but the width of the crank pulley, so I don't need to pull my plugs. I can put this thing on it and turn my engine over for various reasons.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. That's a 1 5/16 nut on the front of the engine, and you can buy those pretty handily, and with a 75 and newer, you can get right down on it. You can see it.
Yeah, but the problem is the cardboard in front.
Oh, all right,
the
okay.
thing going on, and
okay, all right.
So this, yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, little tip. Okay.
Okay. Well, hey, it is 9:04, and my guess is Doug Clark is still ensconced in his MGB meeting in Chicago, unless Doug happens to come on.
He gave me a count before he left.
He gave you a what?
The count.
Oh, all right.
But he does. Yeah, I don't know about the hat part. I can help you with the attendance part.
What did Doug say that we had on tonight?
He had it at 162, and I had 163, and it was a few minutes off from his count. So yeah, 163 sounds good.
All right. Okay, sounds great. Well, Doug and I usually do a hat trade-off, but since since I ran out of hats, he hasn't. He still has hats. Here's my award for winning the spring contest at NAMGAR GT 15. Can't tell you when or where GT 15 was, but they just had GT 50 up in Traverse City. So anyway, inside, look at all this cool stuff. Here's the brass plaque that goes on an MGA on the intake manifold to tell you what your firing order is. And let's see, here is a SU carburetor needle. It must have hit the floor, I guess. Anyway, there's not much hope in getting him straightened out to work. Here's a interesting little guy. Here's a little hexagonal stud. Here's a hexagonal stud, and this supports a wiper motor, the early style wiper motors in the A's and the midgets. Here's a British Leyland badge that goes on the side of some of the cars. I can't tell you what years, but certainly after 1970 at some point. And here's a block. Here's just a block with a 1032, really a 2BA stud on the back. And this limits the position of the driver's seat, passenger seat too. Fits through there. Here we have a push button, and it's got a W on it for a wiper. So all kinds of cool stuff. Here's an original. Ooh, look at this. Here's an original MGA gear shift knob, okay, with a thread on it. What's the thread on an MGA gear shift knob? Who can tell me? 8x1 metric. Okay, one of the only 5 metric threads in the MGA. So anyway, there's what other fun stuff? Here we've got the little push button. It's broken. Push button to hold the seat belt, across the shoulder seat belt on like a 1970 MGB. So everyone's got a box like this of used and broken used and broken parts. I could go farther, but anyway, it's 9 o'clock. It's been a wonderful time tonight. I'm gonna try to go for June 29th. I think it's a Monday night. I don't know why that date. I should have looked at my calendar before I even suggested that. But we will have the information out. And let me make one more pitch for MG. Well, my last pitch tonight for MG 2026 in Ohio. It really is going to be the monster MG meet for a number of years coming. So if you're anywhere in the Midwest, please anywhere, please consider coming to it. We would love to have you. And then I want to just read, there's one last note here. Here's Marty Bradley. Here we go. Tony Choviak says the MGB heater control valve kit, special made kit to replace the stock heater valve. Okay, so the new heater valves apparently are better than the ones that were available for the past 3, 4, 5 years. That lasted a very short time. Anyway, the new ones apparently are better. But once that valve begins to leak, you've got to change it. It leaks right on the distributor. So anyway, here's Tony's got a note from BritCarcraft.com, who's got an alternative. They've got some kind of something or other else. You can also buy just an angled tube that comes out of there, like fits on a Z-type magnet, and go to the hardware store and just get a little tap that opens and closes. Because you never want the heater on more than you never. There's only two positions for an MGB heater, on or off. You never seem to feather the temperature, so it's always too
Like
hot.
the wipers, too slow or too fast.
Yeah, it looks like the one we have.
Two speed.
Talk about dummies.
Hey, John, do you still have your collection of
Yes.
weird things that you found, like that thickness of that body putty that was on my TR3? Maybe you could do a zoom on all the weird stuff you found.
Weird stuff. Weird stuff. That's a good
You
one.
still have that collection?
Oh, absolutely. That multicolored half-inch, 1 inch thick piece of Bondo. Yeah, that was quite a.
Well, you know, the whole car was that way.
Yes.
It was a sculpt. I mean, it was a sculptor did it.
Didn't you also have a brake, a master cylinder, or a reservoir for a master cylinder that was made out of the
Ace Hardware pipe fittings.
Yes, right.
Yes. Yes.
That-
Okay.
That'd
Hey,
be a good zoom.
that's our, I'm always struggling for stuff. Weird. Yeah. Okay.